separating from different activities.
Sorry
So thank you
about
so
that.
much for being part of this meeting. Yeah, no worries. So just some logistics. You all know the logistics already, but we'll go through them again. This is a reminder we are once again conducting the meeting entirely virtually. Just a few reminders before we get started. Most staff and members are participating from their own locale, and a few may be in the Commission office. The Zoom link has been made available to the public. For Zoom identification, we'd like to ask that everyone check their Zoom ID and be sure it contains your first and last name accurately, so we're able to call on you appropriately, and also so we get all the names accurately recorded in the record. If you need to update your name, click on the three dots in the window with your picture to bring up the rename option. When it is time to take up an option, we will need a moment to bring the appropriate attendees into the main meeting room and make sure they can see and hear the committee, and we can see and hear them as well. Participants will need to turn their camera on and also unmute. Regarding the use of microphones, to members of the committee, we're going to mute your microphones to eliminate any background noise that may get in the way of others hearing what is being said by the speakers. We ask that when you speak, you please unmute yourself, but then once again, when you're done speaking, please go back to being muted. Procedure regarding commenting or asking questions. Committee members, if you wish to make a comment, please either physically raise your hand on camera or use the raise hand feature, which is located at the bottom of the Zoom screen. If you're unable to do either of these options, you can also send a message in the chat feature in order to signal that you have a question or a comment. Several of us will be looking for those with comments or questions in the chat and the raised hands, but please be sure we don't miss you if we have something to say. Because we are a public body and must conduct our business in the public forum, we ask that you please do not use the chat feature to make substantive comments or have discussions on any of the items. Public attendees of this meeting cannot see the chat box, and those who view the video archive of this meeting will not have access to any conversations within the chat. Regarding motions and roll call vote. When you make your motions, please state the motion in full so that there is no question as to what the motion is. All votes will be conducted via roll call. Just before the vote, we will remind everyone to be sure you are unmuted so that we do not miss anyone's vote. If you are unable to respond either by video or audio, you may make your vote known through the chat function. The secretary will have to read your name and your vote when she gets to that part of the roll call vote to be sure it's an official part of the record, and also make sure the public knows what the vote is. Because this can be quite cumbersome, we want to leave that as a last option. If you need to leave the meeting for any period of time, please raise your hand and let us know so we can be sure we have a quorum at all times so the record can be accurate. Also, please do the same when you return to the meeting so that we know that you are back again. Public comment. Members of the public wishing to provide public comment during the discussion of an item will be given the opportunity to speak during the public comment period for each item and then at the end of the meeting. The committee chair will announce when the public comment period is open during the presentation of the agenda item and ask for anyone who wishes to comment to notify the meeting moderator as explained below. Participants via Zoom Webcast. Individuals who join the meeting via the Zoom webcast will need to click on the raise hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak on the item. Staff will notify the individual when it is your turn to speak by calling the Zoom ID, and that's the name used by the member of the public when logging into the meeting. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute their microphone and will be able to share their comment. Just a brief note, the Zoom ID name used by the member of the public to join the Zoom meeting will be displayed to the public when the individual provides public comment. For those participating via teleconference, individuals who join the meeting via the U.S. toll-free number will need to press *9 on their phone to inform the meeting moderator that they would like to speak on the item. The meeting moderator will notify the individual it is their turn to speak by calling the last 4 digits of their phone number and will allow them to unmute their telephone. At that time, the individual will be prompted to press *6 and will be able to share their comment. There is also a time designated for general public comment at the end of the meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, and after the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be available via the Commission's website. Do any committee members have any questions about the protocols? All right, seeing none, moving on to the next item, it's my pleasure to introduce our new co-chair, Marty Martinez. Marty, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Bob. I just want to say what an honor it is to be serving this position. It's always a pleasure to work with members of the Committee on Accreditation. I've always really admired and respected the work that happens here, and especially the work of the team at CTC. It's amazing what we do in service of supporting teachers and leaders in California. So thank you, Bob, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Marty. Looking forward to working with you in this capacity. We also have another new member. The newest member of the committee is Jason Lee. Mr. Lee was selected to join the COA at the April Commission meeting. And Mr. Lee, would you like to introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Jason Lee. I work out of the Sonoma County Office of Education. This is my 25th year of public education, and I'm honored to be a part of the commission.
Thanks, Jason. Glad to have you. And you might remember, Jason, those who are with us in the spring meeting. I think it was the last meeting we had in June. Jason was part of that, or July. I think, was it June, Cheryl? Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't remember if it was
Okay.
April or June. Was it June?
It's a blur.
It is
All
the
years
blur.
blur.
Well, so if it looks familiar, that's why. And also, Jason's been involved working with the CTC over the last couple of years as well in several capacities. So nice to have you aboard, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, item two. Item two is the approval of the August 2021 agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the 2021 meeting in August? And please remember to unmute your microphone when speaking.
So moved.
There's a motion by Member Hillis. Pardon me, there's a second by Member Taylor. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos,
Aye.
Kathy Grisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Recuse?
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion carries. Item three is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Is it just a reminder, if you're not at the meeting itself, then you are probably best for you to abstain. But is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 2021 meeting?
So moved.
So moved by Member Taylor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Cracia. The secretary please call the roll. Oh wait,
Cynthia
before I do
Almos?
that, I'm sorry, my error, Michelle. I want to be sure we have an opportunity if any member of the public wish to comment on the item.
I see no hands.
All right, thank you, Erin. All right, so at this point, we have a motion, we have a second. Any corrections or changes to the minutes? All right, the secretary please call the roll.
Cynthia Almos,
Aye.
Kathy Grisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Abstain?
Jason Lee,
Abstain.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item four. Item four is the co-chair and members' reports. Do any members have anything you wish to report? I don't see any. I just would like to bring up one request that maybe we can discuss at our next meeting, and that is the COA meeting dates for next year. I know we had the meeting in June where we looked through the dates and approved them. As far as for my schedule, my work schedule has changed slightly in the spring, which may make it impossible for me to attend one or two of the meetings. Not wishing to ask anybody to completely change your schedule, but what I'd like to ask if maybe at the next meeting we can revisit those dates, at least for the spring 2022. So I'd like to at least put that out there, see if there's any interest in doing so.
I'm happy to revisit dates, Bob. Thank you for bringing it up. I understand how schedules change.
Yeah, it's two of them. Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So if we can perhaps maybe have that as an agenda item, should we do a motion for make that an agenda item? Cheryl, what would be most appropriate?
Sorry, I'm having a lot of tech issues all of a sudden. No, we do not need a motion. In fact, we can't have a motion because it's not agendized, but we will certainly put it on your agenda. We'll take that as direction.
Okay,
We'll put
great.
that on
Thanks,
the
Cheryl.
October meeting so you can to vote on some things.
Okay, great. Thank you, Josh. Thanks, everybody.
And I apologize. I
All right,
missed
item-
what you said, although I knew what you were talking about. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, because we were part of the conversation before. Yeah, okay, no worries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 5. Actually, let's go ahead and move this. We're going to move this a bit later today. We have more
Yes.
time with staff reports. Okay.
Yeah,
let's
we'd
move
like
on
to do
item
the staff
6.
reports at the end, if that's possible.
Sure, no worries. All right, so let's move on to item 6. Item 6 is program approval recommendations. And first is program approvals. This section is for action. Today there are 6 institutions with 7 programs for approval. Please use the agenda insert as it contains the items that were recently added, and those are in italics. We have representatives from the 6 institutions with us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed programs. And since we have them here, I suggest we take it one by one, and then we can vote for each one individually. So we'll begin with University of California, Berkeley for a bilingual authorization in Spanish. Joining us today to answer any questions about the proposed programs for UC Berkeley is Dr. Lisa Salison, BE3 Operations Lead. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, would the institutional representatives like to say anything about the proposed program?
No, just that we're very excited to be able to offer a bilingual authorization for our multiple and single subject credential candidates, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Seeing
Michelle.
none, Bob.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't look so. So any committee members have any questions for the representatives from UC Berkeley? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the program for UC Berkeley?
So moved.
Mr. Taylor, would you be able to state the motion completely so we're sure we have it on the record?
Yes. Sorry, Bob. Thank you. I move that we approve the bilingual authorization program at University of California, Berkeley, as recommended.
Okay, bilingual authorization in Spanish, just for clarity.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion? All right, will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos,
Aye.
Kathy Creasha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Dr. Salison. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
Have a good day. Next program proposal is from University of California, Santa Barbara for a bilingual authorization in Spanish. Joining us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program for the University of California, Santa Barbara are Paula Sevilla, doctoral student teaching associate, and Catherine Tucciarone, credential analyst. Did I get that right? Tucciarone?
You did. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. All right, thank you. I guess my Italian, Spanish, all those years paid off. All right. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, any member of the public wish to comment on the item?
I don't see
None.
any virtual hands. Oh, go ahead, Michelle. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right, thank you. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from UC Santa Barbara? All right, would the representatives from UC Santa Barbara wish to offer any comment?
I would just like to thank the Commission for offering the capacity grant, which allowed us to hire Paula and work on this program. We're very thankful.
Yes,
Very
and
glad
I
to
would
hear that.
just Oh, excuse me. I would just add that we're very excited for this opportunity and what it represents for our pre-service educators and the students in our local schools to be able to have their language, which is so much a part of their identity, seen as a valuable skill, and for all of our students to grow their linguistic repertoires. So we're excited and we're thankful for this opportunity.
Thank you. Such a worthwhile program. So glad that the grant has been useful. That's wonderful. All right. Is there a motion that to approve the UC Santa Barbara's bilingual authorization on Spanish program?
I move that the Committee on Accreditation approve the Spanish authorization in bilingual education proposed by the University of California, Santa Barbara.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Gracia. Second. Any further comment? All right. Would the Secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Amos,
Aye.
Kathy Grisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Sevilla and Ms. Tucciaroni. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with your program. All right, thank you. We're moving on now to the program from Whittier College for bilingual authorization, also in Spanish. And joining us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program is Ivania Soto, Professor of Education, Director of Graduate Programs, and the Director, Institute for Culturally and Linguistically Responsive Teaching. You do all of that? You are busy. You must be incredibly busy. Well, thank you for joining us. Do we have any recusals on the item? All right, seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
Seeing none, Bob.
Thank you. All right, any committee members wish to ask any questions of the representative with multiple jobs? Seeing none, Ms. Soto, do you wish to offer any comments?
No, we're just so grateful to be at this stage, and we look forward to being able to implement this program and see how it changes our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the Whittier College's bilingual authorization in Spanish?
I move to approve Whittier College's authorization, bilingual authorization in Spanish.
Thank you. A move by Member Lee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member, I saw Member Hillis's hand. Any further discussion? The Secretary, please call the roll.
Cynthia Amos,
Aye.
Kathy Grisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Soto. Thank you for joining us. Stay healthy. They lose you, they lose 3 people. So stay healthy. All right. Next program is from Simpson University for preliminary multiple subject intern and preliminary single subject intern program. Simpson University has already approved to offer the preliminary MS, multiple subject and single subject programs. This proposal is to add the intern pathway. And joining us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program for Simpson are Irene Lopez, Executive Dean of Education and Diversity, and Becky Shaughnessy, School of Education Credential Analyst. Are there any recusals on this item? Seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
Seeing no comments, Bob.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Simpson University? All right, seeing none, and would any of the representatives from Simpson wish to offer any comment? We see you all gathered there.
It has been a team effort, but we thank our
Wonderful.
people to the commission for this opportunity. We have been contacted by many districts saying, when are we going to start the program? So we're excited to be able to turn the page in this chapter. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's such a timely need for it at this moment. So thank you so much for joining us and also for proposing this program. So at this point, we need to have a motion from a committee member. There's a motion, Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proposal for Simpson University's multiple subjects and single subjects intern program.
Great, thank you, Member Hillis. Is there a second? Sorry, I didn't see you. Oh, but thank you. Second by Member Lee. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos,
Aye.
Kathy Grisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Evan Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much for joining us there. Congratulations. Have a great day. Thank you. All right, next program, a proposal is from Modesto City Schools for a clear administrative services credential. Joining us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program for Modesto City Schools are Kim Newton, Senior Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Professional Development, and Ernesto Calderon, Administrator of Special Projects Induction. Are there any recusals? All right, seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer a comment?
Seeing no comments, Bob.
Thank you. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Modesto City Schools? All right, pretty straightforward. Would any of the institutional representatives like to offer any comment?
I would just like to thank the commission for this opportunity. We currently have our teacher induction program and are looking forward to offering a CAST program for our administrators to support us in recruiting, training, and retaining the absolute best and most diverse group of administrators here in the Central Valley. So we are excited.
Thank you.
Thank you to the commission as well. I appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. And again, as much as it's timely for teachers, it's equally timely for administrators to be sure that there are enough in the pool to keep the in the pipeline to keep quality education service moving forward. All right, is there a motion from a committee member?
I see Mike Hillis.
Oh, sorry, there it is. I'm sorry, Member Ellis. Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to move that we would accept the proposal from Modesto City Schools Clear Administrative Services credential.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Taylor. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos,
Aye.
Kathy Grisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Evan Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations to you both. Absolutely. Look excited. Well deserved.
Thank you.
You bet. Have a great day. Our final program proposal is from Alliant International University for a bilingual authorization in Spanish and Mandarin. Joining us to answer any questions you may have about the proposed program for Alliant International University are Dr. Christy Pruitt, Dean, California School of Education, and Dr. Ken Kelch, Program Director. Are there any recusals? All right, seeing none, any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Seeing no comments, Bob.
Thank you. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Alliant International University? Member Hillis.
I'm just curious if you could just speak a little bit to the inclusion of Mandarin. We've had a lot of bilingual authorizations in Spanish, and so I'm just curious what gave rise to the desire to pursue Mandarin.
Well, it was simply a matter of looking at the state demographics and realizing the importance of Chinese culture and language in the state, and feeling that there would be an opportunity there to serve that population.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the representatives? All right, seeing none, Drs. Pruitt and Dr. Kelch, would you like to offer any comment? I know, Dr. Kelch, you just spoke on that. Dr.
Yeah,
Pruitt?
I mean, just to thank the commission for their guidance in bringing us to this point of the process. We're really excited about the opportunity to serve the state in this way. And we know that the bilingual authorization will be a valuable addition to our School of Education offerings at Alliant.
Great, thank you so much. Dr. Pruitt at all? None?
Thank you so much.
Well stated, clear enough. All right, so at this point, we need to have a motion from a committee member. Member Taylor.
I move that the Committee on Accreditation approve the Alliant University bilingual education in Spanish and Mandarin.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
I second.
A member Amos, thank you. Second by member Amos. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almus,
Aye.
Kathy Grisham,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. So congratulations, Dr. Pruitt and Dr. Kelch. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it. Yeah. And good luck with your program. All right, thank you, members. That brings us up to item 7. Item 7 is a report of the program status changes. This item is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 includes items for action by the COA, which include requests to withdraw, requests to reactivate inactive programs, and or request to add a new content area to an existing program. Part 2 provides information on programs that have transitions to revised program standards and programs that have elected to change to inactive status. These items are for notification only and require no action by the COA. Part 1, Sections A, B, and C. Section A, Program Withdrawals. Section A is for action, and there are 3 program sponsors withdrawing 5 programs. California Polytechnic State University Pomona requesting to withdraw its education specialist added authorization autism spectrum disorders effective August 16, 2021. Fresno Pacific University requesting to withdraw its designated subjects career technical education effective August 30th, 2021. Designated subjects special subjects effective August 30th, 2021. And designated subjects supervision and coordination effective August 30th, 2021. Next is University of Redlands requesting to withdraw its clear administrative services effective August 16, 2021. Any member of the public wish to comment on the item?
I'm having a lot of tech issues today. I apologize. I keep getting kicked out of the meeting. All right.
Can you repeat, Bob, can you repeat that again, please? Just the end.
Yes, just checking to see if any member of the public wish to comment on the item. Just seeing if there's anyone there.
No public comments, Bob.
Okay, thank you. This is for action. Are there any recusals from committee members? All right, seeing none. Is there a motion? And at this point, the motion is going to be accepting all program withdrawals noted in Section A. We won't have to do each one individually, but it's in total. So is there a motion? Member Taylor.
I move that the Committee on Accreditation accept the withdrawals from the California Polytechnic State University Pomona, Fresno Pacific University, University of Redlands, 3 institutions, 5 programs in total.
Great, thank you. Member Taylor. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almus,
Aye.
Kathy Grisham,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Staying in part one, moving on to section B. Section B are programs requesting reactivation, and there are no programs requesting reactivation at this time. Section C, adding a new content area. There is one institution requesting to add a new content area. That is California State University Stanislaus, preliminary single subject in theater. And just a reminder, this section is for approval of a new credential program, but a new subject area within the already approved single subject credential program offered by CSU Stanislaus.
And I would just like to
let's
note
see.
that this is only our second theater program in the state that's been offered.
Yeah, it's very new, so exciting to see that that's on the agenda here. That's great. It's very exciting. Okay, let's move on then to part two, sections D and E. Next two sections are for
Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We do need
Michelle.
a motion approval for that section, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, I didn't see that here in the minutes, but okay. Yeah, so
Sorry
we
about
need to go ahead and have a motion. No worries. Is there a motion then? This is for section C, adding a new content area for California State University Stanislaus in theater.
Member Taylor has his hand up.
Right, I see that. Member Taylor?
I move the COA approve the California State University Stanislaus preliminary single subject theater authorization.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by member Amos. Thank you very much. Secretary, please call the roll.
Cynthia Almus,
Aye.
Kathy Grisham,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Lynn Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. That's very cool. Congratulations, Stanislaus. That's awesome. Part two, sections D and E are for notification purposes only, and no action is required. For section D, it's programs transitioning. There are no programs requesting to transition at this time. Section E, programs moving to inactive status. This section is for notification only, and no action is needed. There is one program sponsor moving 3 programs to inactive status, and that is Antioch University. 3 programs are preliminary multiple subject, effective October 9, 2021. Teacher induction, effective October 9, 2021. And preliminary education specialist mild to moderate with intern, effective October 9th, 2021. All right, that brings us now to item 8. Item 8 is the initial program approval for new sponsor programs, Lake County Office of Education. Joining us is Consultant Hart Boyd, who will introduce the item. And joining him today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives Starla Weirman, Consultant, and Jamie Buckner Bridges, Director for Teach, Lake County. Anyone need to recuse themselves?
Bob, I will recuse myself from this item.
Okay, thank you. We have one recusal, that's Member Lee. Do we still have a quorum at this point?
Yes, we should be fine. But okay, I see the other folks coming in now. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you for joining us. And Mr. Boyd, when you're on board, feel free to begin.
I don't see Hart in there. He's probably on his way.
Okay. Okay. I see him listed there as an attendee.
Sorry, yeah, I promoted him. I thought I promoted him. But here he comes.
There he is.
Perfect.
All right.
There he is.
Sorry about that.
All right. No worries. But first comment is you are beardless.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that yesterday just for you.
Oh, thanks, appreciate it. All right, when you're ready, feel free to begin.
Great, thanks. This item presents Lake County Office of Education's responses to the preliminary multiple subject program standards for the committee's consideration and possible approval, as we are in stage 4 of the initial institutional approval process. A team of 2 qualified reviewers collaborated on a review of Lake County Office of Education's responses and came to a consensus on a final finding of aligned for all program standards. Please note that the program preconditions, including the intern preconditions, were reviewed and found to be met in stage 3. And summaries to Lake County's preconditions responses can be found in the hyperlinked stage 3 commission item noted on page 2. As a reminder, at the conclusion of stage 3, Lake County was granted provisional approval by the commission at its October 2020 meeting. It is important to highlight that provisional approval only authorizes an institution to offer educator preparation programs, but it is the determination of the COA which decides whether or not a specific program is approved. You may find hyperlinks to the final submission and reviewer feedback on page 2 of this item. Again, joining us today are Jamie Buckner-Bridges, Director of Teach Lake County, and Starla Weirman, Consultant. They will both be available to answer any programmatic questions you may have, and staff is available to answer any process questions. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mr. Boyd. So at this point, we'd like to invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment on the proposed program.
Hi everyone, Jamie Buckner-Bridges with the Lake County Office of Education. We just want to thank you for the opportunity to offer this program in our community. We're a very rural community and we've had challenges to teacher pathways for probably close to a decade or even longer. And the offering of this program is really going to make a difference in our education community.
All right, great, thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Weirman, I know you're acting as a consultant. Any comment you wish to offer?
I just want to thank the COA for considering our program. It's been a long journey for us and definitely a team effort. And Lake County Office of Education is ready to lead.
Great, thank you for your comments. Any member of the public wish to offer any comment on this item?
Seeing no comments, Bob.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Any additional discussion from COA members? Any questions? Any comments you wish to offer? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. So is there a motion to approve Lake County Office of Education's preliminary multiple subject intern program? Member Taylor.
I move that the Committee on Accreditation approve the Lake County Office of Education's single and multiple subject programs.
Intern program, all right, thank you. And is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you so much for joining us, Ms. Weirman, Ms. Buckner-Bridges, thank you. And also Mr. Boyd, thank you for joining us. All right, moving on to item 9. Item 9 is initial program approval for new program sponsors from Newhall School District. Consultant Poonam Badai. I'm sorry, Poonam, I always butcher it. Although, is it changed now, or is it I heard it might be? Or
it will change in the future, but for now it's still Beatty.
Beatty, thank you, Poonam. And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
But you're going to introduce, Poonam will introduce the item. And joining her today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives Marguerite Armstrong, Induction Coordinator, Amy Gaudet, Principal, and Amanda Montemeyer, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Did I get that correct, Ms. Montemayor? Montemayor?
Same time. There you go. It's
Okay,
Mary.
thank you. Montemayor. Okay, got it. Well, thank you again for joining us. Anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none. Ms. Bidet, will you please, Bidai? I still
Betty.
butchered it. Will you please begin? Betty, I'm making a note. Thank you, Betty. Would you, Ms. Bidet, please begin?
All right. Good morning, committee members. This item presents the Newhall School District's responses to the Teacher Induction Program Standards for the committee's consideration and possible approval. As indicated in the item, the Newhall School District was granted provisional approval by the Commission at its October 2020 meeting, and provisional approval, when granted at the conclusion of stage 3 of the IA process, just authorizes the institution to offer a proposed program, and then it's up to the COA to make the determination on whether or not to approve the program for operation at the conclusion of stage 4. And that is indicated in the chart that's included on the last page of the item. So a team of 2 qualified reviewers collaborated on a review of the Newhall School District submission, and they came to a consensus on a final finding of align for all the program standards. And you'll find the link to the final submission and to the reviewer feedback on the second page of this item. And in conclusion, we have with us today, as introduced earlier, Marguerite, Amy, and Amanda, and they're here to answer any programmatic questions that the COA members may have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Betty. Any questions, or if I guess it's a comment from institutional representatives at this point?
Good morning, and thank you to the Commission for this opportunity. We are very excited to be able to offer an induction program to our new teachers at the Santa Clarita Valley. And we also want to give a shout out to Poonam. She has been amazing and supportive throughout this journey, and we couldn't have completed the task without her support.
Thank you. Ms. Gaudet or Ms. Montemayor? Either of you wish to comment? No? All right. Any member of the public wish to offer comment on this item?
Saying no comments, Bob.
All right, thank you. Any additional discussion with COA members? Any questions or comments you wish to make? Seeing none, this is an action item. So is there a motion to approve the Newhall School District's Teacher Induction Program? Motion made by Member Hillis.
I'd like to move that the Committee on Accreditation would approve the initial program of Newhall School District's induction program.
I thank you. And Member Cracia, would you like to go ahead and second that? All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Holmes.
Aye.
Kathy Grisha.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Len Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously. Woo! Congratulations. Thank you again, Ms. Armstrong. Yeah, Ms. Armstrong, Ms. Gaudet, and Ms. Montemayor, and also Ms. Betty. Thank you all. Yeah, congratulations. Go have a great day. Absolutely. And a sigh of relief, it looks like, too. Right? Okay, great. All right, moving on to item 10. Item 10 is the initial program approval for new program sponsors from the University of Antelope Valley. Consultant Poonam Betty will will introduce the item, and joining her today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives Shonay Harris, Dean, Crystal Anderson, College Chair, and Crystal Stevens, Director of Institutional Effectiveness and Operations. Are we all present? Everybody there? Okay, great. Anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Ms. Betty, will you please begin?
Absolutely. Good morning again, committee members. So this is the third of the four items that are being presented before you today. So this item in particular presents the University of Antelope Valley's responses to the preliminary multiple and single subject program standards for the committee's consideration and possible approval. So just like with Newhall, UAV, University of Antelope Valley, was granted provisional approval by the commission at its October 2020 meeting. So again, provisional approval means that the institution is authorized to offer a proposed program, but again, it's determined by the COA as to whether or not that program is approved for operation. And this is again indicated on the lovely IIA chart that's included at the end of the item. So a team of 2 qualified reviewers reviewed UAV stage 4 submission. They came to a finding of aligned on all the program standards. And you'll find a link to the reviewer's feedback and to the submission included on the second page of this item. And in conclusion, as introduced earlier, we have Shonay, Crystal, and Crystal, and they are available to answer any programmatic questions that COA members may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Betty. So we do now invite the institution representatives to briefly comment on the proposed program.
Good morning, and thank you guys for having us. We want to thank the commission for this opportunity, and we also want to thank Poonam. She has been on our right, like our right hand, just helping us through this entire process. It's been really great working with her, and we really appreciate her patience with us and all of her support. And again, we just want to thank the commission for having us this morning, and hopefully we get this opportunity to represent our community and outside community and bring some well-qualified, exciting teachers to this much needed area.
Great, thank you so much. Anyone else wish to make a comment from the institution? All right, seeing any committee member wish to make a comment or ask any question? Again, just as a reminder, the program did receive a preliminary or provisional approval in October of 2020. And this is now part of stage 4. Okay, seeing none then, it's time to ask for a motion. And the motion again is to approve the University of Antelope Valley's preliminary single subject program in the areas of math and science. Member Hillis. I'm sorry, Member Taylor, excuse me.
I move that the Committee on Accreditation approve the University of Antelope Valley preliminary single subject program, math and science.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard a second by Mr. Lee. I heard a voice second.
It was Lynn.
That's what I said. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn. Well,
That's
okay.
okay.
We'll go with second with Lynn. No, it's okay. You're recuperating. You need one. So there's a second from Member Larson. Any further discussion? Will the committee member? I'm sorry. The secretary, please call the roll.
Cynthia Olmos.
Aye.
Kathy Grisha.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. So thank you, Ms. Harris, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Stevens, and also Ms. Betty. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Every
you.
step counts. You're there. Yeah. Moving forward. Thank you so much. All right. We're now going to move on to item 11. Item 11 is the initial program approval for new program sponsors, Huntington Beach Union High School District. Consultant Dr. Michelle Williams-George will introduce the item. And joining her today to answer any questions you may have are, I'm sorry, I'm hearing somebody say the whole meeting froze. Kathy, is that you? Okay,
It looks like Kathy's frozen, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me
Okay, well,
today, or at this point.
Yeah, right.
It was not me.
Kathy, hopefully you'll be able to join us. Kathy, if you can hear us, if you can just communicate through the chat, that'd be great.
Or you can log
Okay,
out
joining
and
us-
log back in. That would be great.
Yeah, and that might go ahead and clear it. So consultant Dr. Michelle Williams-George will introduce the item, and joining her today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives Kendra Rosales, Induction Coordinator and Lead Program Developer, Chris Long, Educational Technology Coordinator, and Dr. Rocky Murray, Executive Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Categorical Programs. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? All right, seeing none, Ms. Williams-George, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to congratulate and welcome Member Lee to the committee. I had the pleasure of working with Jason on his last site visit as a reviewer, so nice to have you. And before I introduce the agenda item, I'd like to reintroduce the district representatives who are with us today from Huntington Beach Union High School District. As Member Frey said, Kendra Rosales, Induction Coordinator and Lead Program Developer. She has been the sort of in the forefront of creating the program. Chris Long, Educational Technology Coordinator and Program Developer. He has been a great support to Kendra throughout this process. And Dr. Rocky Murray, Executive Director of Curriculum, Instructional, and Categorical Programs, who has also been very supportive of the development of the program. Huntington Beach Union High School District is in stage 4. This is the third stage 4 that you're hearing today of the initial institutional approval process. And you can see that highlighted on the chart on page 2 of this item. As you know, stage 4 requires institutions to respond to program-specific standards. Those responses are then collaboratively reviewed by 2 qualified BIR reviewers who provide recursive feedback until they come to consensus on a finding of aligned for all of the program standards. Huntington Beach Union was granted provisional approval, institutional approval, by the Commission at its most recent meeting in June 2021. This quick succession of submission is indicative of the institution's commitment to developing and implementing a quality teacher induction program this fall. Now, as is standard for the IIA process, I've been working with the program developers through these first 4 stages of the IIA process and have found Kendra and Chris to be both knowledgeable and responsive to feedback, as well as passionate about their work, particularly in the area of equity and inclusion. So this agenda item represents the district's stage 4 responses to the teacher induction program standards and the results of the BIR review. These submission documents are for the committee's consideration for possible program approval. You will find the hyperlinks to the district submissions as well as all previous IIA submissions on page 3 of this item. So based on a finding of met for all program standards, staff recommends program approval. This will allow the institution to offer a teacher induction program, collect and submit relevant data, and host a provisional site visit in 3 years. After that provisional site visit, Commission staff will bring a complete report before the COA for consideration of full approval. Staff is happy to answer any process questions, and Ms. Rosales, Mr. Long, and Dr. Murray are here to answer any questions regarding their stage 4 submission and their proposed teacher induction program. Thank you for your attention to this item.
Thank you, Dr. Williams-George. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment on the proposed program.
Thank you, commissioners, for hearing our proposal today. I also have to give a huge thanks to our consultant, Michelle Williams-George. She has been phenomenal to work with. By trade, Chris and I are a physics and math teacher. And so to write 4 stages worth of a report was overwhelming to say the least, but we had a big dream and a huge vision. And honestly, Michelle was more like a mentor in helping us to bring that vision into hopefully reality to start in the fall. So we are so thankful to you, Michelle. Thank you so very much. And I just would like to also add, we are very excited to offer this opportunity for our new teachers, especially after the year that all teachers just experienced through the pandemic, to be able to offer a more personalized experience and run the entire program through our Canvas platform, our learning management system, so our teachers can truly experience as a student and then reflect as a teacher with their own students is a big dream of ours. And then hopefully one day, as a 9-12 school district, we can then expand our program to our local community with our K-8 school districts. And then of course, as well, continually receive feedback from our local post-secondary institutions. So thank you so much to the commission again, and Michelle, there is not enough thanks we can give you for all of the help you gave to us.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales. Anyone else wish to comment? Dr. Murray, Mr. Long? All right, seeing none, this is an opportunity for the committee to ask any questions that you may have, offer any comments. Seeing none, we also wish to invite the public to offer any comment.
Seeing no comments, Bob.
All right, thank you. All right, as a reminder, this is an action item. So is there a motion to approve Huntington Beach Union High School? I want to be sure you're exactly right. Yeah, so it approve Huntington Beach Union High School SD's Teacher Induction Program. Thank you. I heard a voice. Kathy, was that you? Oh, no, okay, I remember Taylor. There's a motion.
I would like to move that the Committee on Accreditation approve the proposal from Huntington Beach Union High School District for the approval of their teacher induction program.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Member Amos. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos,
Aye.
Kathy Krisha,
Aye.
Bob Fraley,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Len Larson,
Aye.
Marty Martinez,
Aye.
Jason Lee,
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Another step closer. All right, so thank you again for joining us, Ms. Rosales, Mr. Long, Dr. Murray, and also Dr. Williams-George. So again, congratulations and good luck moving forward. And good luck in the school year. I hope all goes well. All right, moving on to item 12. Item 12 is a discussion of institutions not in compliance with accreditation timelines. There are no late items to discuss at this time. So moving on to item 13. Item 13 is the discussion and potential adoption of revisions to COA Procedures Manual. Administrators Erin Sullivan and Ms. Hickey will introduce the item. Ms. Sullivan, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, committee members. So this item is continuation of and possibly finalization of a topic that was brought before you beginning in January and discussed really in depth by the committee at its March meeting. So this is specifically with regard to the committee's procedures manual. And just as a reminder, and because I think perhaps I could have done a better job of sort of describing its place in all of your manuals and handbooks, I just wanted to provide a little reminder. So the committee has 3 documents, handbooks, guidance documents that really guide your work. You have the accreditation framework, which is adopted by the commission and provides you then with the basis for creating your accreditation handbook. So the framework and then the handbook. And then we have this procedures manual. The first 2 documents, the framework and the accreditation handbook, are really the outline and the structures for how the accreditation system is implemented by staff, by the COA, by the institutions that are approved to operate in California. The procedures manual really guides how the COA proceeds through its meetings, preparation for its meetings, et cetera. So staff took copious notes during your discussion in March. And there were several things that were discussed. For instance, having the outgoing co-chairs kind of write a one-pager that could be available for potential future co-chairs, and having some opportunities for individuals to know a little more in advance that, for instance, the nominations are going to open up and that they are open. Some of those things don't particularly have a place in your procedures manual, but staff made note of those, and Cheryl and I had some discussions, and anywhere that we can provide a little more information or reminders or support for the committee and for the co-chairs and some of those things moving forward, we've noted that, and we will make an attempt to do better at that in the future. So that really left some very minimal edits to the updates for the procedures manual that were provided to you in March. The summary of those proposed sort of final changes begin at the bottom of page 2 of your item. And really, the only thing that pertained to a need to further update the manual, I'm sorry, yes, the manual, the procedures manual, was the committee's feelings around change of language in the section on relations with and communications with the media. And so it was suggested that the phrase receive approval from the administrator of accreditation prior to speaking with the media be edited to say consult with. And there was some clarification around ensuring that members of the committee identify themselves and their roles as appropriate when speaking with the media. And so we replaced the phrase be careful to identify yourselves with the media to make the sentence a little bit more directive. The manual is presented to you now with track changes on, so that you can see all of the final edits that would be made to the procedures manual, should you choose to vote in favor of these changes today. And with that, Cheryl, if you'd like to add anything.
I think you covered everything. The agenda item actually, as with track changes on it, we will have to take down right after this meeting because it is not ADA compliant, just so you know. So if you want a copy of this, you might want to print it for yourself. But yeah, I think Aaron covered everything. This is, we haven't looked at this document in a really long time. Most of it was still okay. But I think some of the areas, updating it to reflect the current accreditation system and bringing some of the language just current has been a really important thing to do, just to make sure that we are reviewing it every so often that it's still current. So we're happy to hear any comments you have, and if you are ready to adopt these, we'd be happy to finalize this document.
Okay, thank you, Aaron and Cheryl. Any discussion, committee members? What do you think?
This is Lynn. I noticed when
Lynn.
reviewing the track changes, there was a typo that needs to be corrected. So if you take a look at page 17, page 23 of the PDF document, but it's page 17 of the manual, it says turn of instead of turn off.
Page 17, we just want to make sure we have it in the right spot.
Which is page 23 of the PDF.
Oh, 23, okay.
Yeah. And at least when I was looking at it, it looked like it said turn of instead of turn off.
Okay.
All right, good catch.
Yes,
Do you
thank you.
see it, Aaron?
I don't. I'm just making a note of
see
it to
it,
go
Cheryl.
back.
I have it noted, Cheryl.
Great.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lynn.
Yep.
Member Martinez?
Thank you. I noted the same change that Member Larson did. I just wanted to thank the committee for just the way you've made note of our comments and questions and the work that's been done. Thanks to Cheryl and Aaron and Michelle and everybody else involved. I like the changes.
All right, thanks, Marty. Anybody else? The only question I have, and maybe I misread this, I'm looking under the bottom of page 2, at the very last paragraph. This is of the item itself, item 13 of the agenda. It says, regard to committee members, The phrase "be careful too," is that being replaced by something else, or is that the new language?
Yes, we replaced "be careful to" with language that's more directive, and I should have stated what it was. So I would, hang on one second, and I can tell you what we replaced it with. I apologize.
Okay.
Could you remind us what page that is, Bob?
I'm looking at just at the agenda item. It's right at the bottom. It looks like it's section
So if you go to
1101.
Yeah, so if you go to page 27 in the manual.
Okay.
If you go to the table of contents, by the way, in the manual, if you click section 1101, it'll take you down there. So basically what we did was delete. Sorry, we did not replace. So I misstated it in the draft of the agenda item. We deleted "be careful too." So the sentence now reads, "The committee member must distinguish between official views or actions of the COA and members' personal views." It used to say the committee member must be careful to distinguish. And at your March discussion, the comment was made that that's perhaps not directive enough. It suggests that you have an option.
Right.
And so we took "be careful to" out at your suggestion.
Good. Yeah, I remember that. Good. Excellent. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other further comment or questions from committee members? All righty. This is an action item. So if it's information or it's an action, if we are going to be taking action, we have to have a motion to approve the adoption of the revisions to the COA Procedures Manual. And if it's not an action item, we don't have to do that. I think we should make it as an action item. I think that'd be useful since it was initially brought up within our discussions earlier in the year, or last year, I guess, towards the end of last year's term. So it would seem appropriate also, I think, in doing so, it acknowledges the hard work that the staff has done in preparing this document and that everybody else has done and also reviewing it. So all of you. So is there going to be a motion to, Marty, I see your hand up, Co-Chair Martinez. Is that a motion?
It is. Thank you, Co-Chair Farrelly. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the revisions recommended to the COA Procedures Manual.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Member Amos. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll?
Cynthia Amos.
Aye.
Kathy Krisha.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee.
Aye.
Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you so much for your work on this. You know, these procedure manuals, I mean, they're always so detail oriented, and I know it's a lot of work to go through every single word that's within there, but every time we do so, it gets more and more refined for the good of the cause, for help guiding our work. Kudos and much applause to all of you, the committee members, for your input on this, and also to the staff for your detail in seeing this through and all the work you put in. Like you don't have enough to do. This is one more thing, but thanks so much. This really is helping our work together, so thank you. We do have item 14. Is that at 10:45? We want to wait for that one, Cheryl? Okay.
Yes, we've been able to get them to, so Bob, hold on a second. We've been able to get them to join us at 10:30. So, because it looks like you're running just slightly ahead of schedule. So it looks like they'll be able to join us at 10:30.
At this point, we can go, what do you think, back to item 5? We will again save that for the end and maybe move item 15 if Punam, are you still with us there? What do you think?
So I'm still here, whatever the COA is.
Whatever, Cheryl, what would you like to do?
Why don't we do 15 and then go back to staff reports? Because we can always stop.
Great, okay.
That sounds great.
All right, let's do 15.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item 15, which is a discussion of possible options for refining stage 5 of initial institutional approval. We just saw a couple of institutions that were in stage 4, so now this is the appropriate timing on this. Administrator Aaron Sullivan and consultant Punam Betty will introduce the item. Ms. Sullivan, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you again, committee members. So I am actually going to turn this over to Punam, but I just wanted to provide just a really quick framework around this. I'm really always pleased when we have an opportunity here in the Professional Services Division to take some time and analyze our work for our own ongoing program improvement. And in this particular case, this is what we've done. You know, as we're moving more institutions through the full 5 stages of the item, we've really had some opportunities to kind of look at our own processes. Poonam's going to talk about something very specific, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to her now. But I'll be here with Poonam, and we're happy to guide you through this conversation at the end of her presentation as needed, or throughout her presentation, I should say. Poonam, please.
All right, thank you, Erin. So good morning again, committee members. It's lovely to see you all. So as Chair Berkeley mentioned, this information item is specific to stage 5, and it's very timely considering the fact that we just had some stage 4 approval items. And as Erin mentioned, it's always important to kind of think about the work that we're doing and look at possible areas of refinement. So that's the purpose of this item. It really is an information item, and we want to kind of be thought partners with you all as we look at these possible refinements to the last stage of the initial institutional approval process. So if you look at the last page of this item, there is that 5 stages of the IIA process chart. And specifically what we want to discuss is the provisional site visit process as it relates to the final stage of the IIA process. So far, we've only had 4 institutions make their way entirely through this 5-stage IIA process. So those 4 institutions include Turlock, which was the first institution. They were approved last year, and they made it all the way through IIA last year, as I just mentioned. And in June, the COA actually saw 3 more institutions, and these institutions received full approval with a requirement to appear back to the COA at the commission's meeting just this past month. So again, there's only been 4 institutions that have made it all the way through the IIA process. So if we want to think a little bit more specifically about stage 5, just to give a little bit more context, currently the process is that when an institution receives COA approval at the conclusion of stage 4 of the IIA process, they're allowed to operate their program. So again, if we think about the 4 institutions that came before us not too long ago this morning, they will be operating those programs that the COA approved for a provisional period of about 2 to 4 years. And at the end of that provisional approval period is when these institutions will host provisional site visits. So with provisional site visits, an accreditation team comes to a consensus of an accreditation recommendation, just as you saw in the provisional site visit reports that came before you in June. So that after reviewing those provisional site visit reports, that's when the COA determines whether the accreditation recommendation that was brought before you as their accrediting body, whether or not that would be the accreditation recommendation that you would have approved that institution had that institution been, had this been a site visit for an institution that would be in year 6 of the accreditation cycle. I just want to restate that again because I want to make sure that was very clear. So that's the COA's purpose in that part of stage 5 of the IIA process is when that accreditation recommendation comes before you, you're really looking at that IIA institution from the lens of, if this was a fully commission approved institution, would we have agreed with this accreditation recommendation? And then after making that determination, well, honestly, the COA's recommendation and the provisional site visit team's report then goes before the commission. And then the commission can choose one of 4 actions. So, and I'm just going to refer back to earlier in the item. So these 4 actions begin on that first page of this item. So the first action that's listed there is full approval. So the institution is, if the commission chooses to grant full approval, that institution is then going to be assigned to one of 7 cohorts, and they operate as a fully commission approved institution. So that was the decision that the commission made for Turlock last August, actually. And then the second action that we see listed here is granting full approval with the requirement that the COA's draft stipulations be addressed. So that essentially means that the institution receives the same privileges as an institution that was granted full approval under Action 1, but there's an additional layer that the institution is then referred back to the COA to address the stipulations. So this was the decision that the commission made just this month for the 3 institutions that the COA saw in June. So that would be High Tech High, Graduate School of Education, UC Merced, and Las Virgenes Unified School District. And then the third action that we see is that is to keep the institution in provisional approval. So to keep it basically in stage 5 for another year. And they wouldn't, so in being kept in the stage 5 process for another year, they would not essentially graduate into the full accreditation cycle, but instead they're given that time period to address the stipulations. And then after a year, any updates to the CO's accreditation recommendation are then presented to the commission. And then if we look at page 2, the last action that the commission can take is denial. So denial means that the institution has to teach out any candidates they have. They cannot enroll any more candidates, and that is where the IIA process would end for them. So in keeping in mind all of these actions and what the completion of stage 5 means, essentially this is a relatively new process considering the fact that we've only had 4 institutions that have made it through. So in thinking about these actions and in thinking about stage 5, staff really wanted to kind of work with the COA here to kind of identify potential tweaks or refinements that could potentially be made to make this provisional site visit process as part of stage 5 a little bit smoother. So I'm going to talk about like what does that mean? So for instance, staff believes like an amendment is appropriate to the recommendation that the COA makes to the commission. Meaning, in addition to the accreditation recommendation the COA gives currently, the COA could also give the recommendation of one of the 4 actions that the commission can take, one of the 4 actions that we just reviewed. And the reason why staff is suggesting this is that currently the commission receives the COA's accreditation status recommendation, and then they also receive staff's recommendation on the suggested action that the commission could take. So the process could be a little bit more streamlined if both their accreditation status and the recommended action that the commission receives comes directly from the Committee on Accreditation as the commission's accrediting body. And that's actually the first kind of area that we wanted to discuss with the committee. So I'm just going to kind of pause here and we want to get a sense of what are committee members' thoughts. And would adding this additional layer to the recommendation from the COA allow it to be more helpful in the process? So it's kind of like our guiding question for this is, what are your thoughts on the recommendation and adding that additional tweak to the recommendation?
All right. Thanks, Ms. Sullivan and Ms. Betty. This is great. I mean, I think there's a third time we've seen this chart today. But that chart that you have offered there really outlines exactly what goes on every step of the process. And I really like it's very clearly laid out. I mean, that's my first comment on that, as it very can clearly see what the stages of it are. And I think it would be useful perhaps down the road at every meeting that we have this chart available to all the committee members just to kind of keep us in mind as far as where they are in the process of what came before them, what's coming next. So it really helps us understand what our role is and what our options are. So in addition to the chart that you have as far as what the different, many of the different standards and what our options are there, maybe having these 2 available, or at least as links, if we all keep it available during discussion, I think it would be very useful. Oh, all right. So committee members, what do you think? Any comments from what we've heard thus far?
I just had a question for Ms. Betty. One of the things, can you kind of help me understand the gaps that this would fill? Now that we've had a chance to try these first 4, I want to make sure that I was a little confused in the beginning. So I do love the chart. And I think that once an institution receives provisional approval from the committee, from the COA in stage 4, then they can begin operating. And then they'll have a full site visit 2 to 4 years out, depending on what cohort they land in. Can you help me understand what gap this change would you see it filling or maybe improving?
So this particular, I'm sorry, I just jumped in, Poonam. Are you talking about this first recommendation that the COA make a recommendation of one of those 4 options for the commission?
I am. Thanks for clarifying.
Sure. Well, since I'm already talking, Poonam, is that okay? Can I jump in?
That's fine.
So it's a really clunky recommendation process right now between the COA and the commission, because the recommendation that comes from you is, honestly, this is what we write in our items. The COA recommends accreditation with stipulations, whatever, and move the institution forward as if it makes the decision as if the institution were one of the fully approved institutions. Like, that is the language around what's happening. And that's really clunky. And then staff goes ahead after the committee recommends, an accreditation decision, and staff makes a judgment call, if you will, on, what to recommend that the commission do. Now, obviously the commission can take whatever action it wants. But we were feeling like this creates possibly a little bit of a gap between the committee and the commission. And in removing staff, but not really, because they're still going to bring the item. We just thought it made a little more sense for the committee, when you consider the provisional site visit report, you're going to consider the team's findings. You're going to consider the accreditation recommendation and any stipulations, as you always do. You could change that accreditation recommendation. You could add or modify the stipulations in any way. But at that point, you've had a really rich interaction with the site visit team around this provisional site visit report. And staff just thought it made more sense to have the committee at that time also consider what it would recommend to the commission the action be, especially given that the 2 pieces in between the option 2 and option 3 both involve the COA. One is full approval, but referring the institution back to the COA to address any stipulations. And the second one is keep the institution in provisional approval and refer it back to the COA to address any stipulations. So given the COA's interaction with 2 of those 4 commission options, we just thought it made a lot more sense for you to have the opportunity to consider and recommend to the commission what you think that their action should be as their accrediting body.
Can I just piggyback on that just for 1 second? Part of this all comes up because of the stipulations. The one that Terry put forward for Turlock was all accreditation, no standards findings that were not met or met with concerns. It was a clean sweep. But when you get into the nitty gritty of stipulations, you all are very familiar with how to handle stipulations, what they really mean, how serious they are. Whereas the commission, that's not their normal understanding. They just don't do that every day. And so we thought it might be best to have the COA then, with your understanding and expertise about stipulations and where it is for that particular institution, where should it land on this, list of 4 options. So that's part of the impetus for this is that you'll have some institutions that have stipulations that go forward to the commission, and to help guide the commission as to what a reasonable recommendation might be or decision.
Thank you, Aaron and Cheryl and Poonam, both. That was really helped to clarify for me.
Thank you. Any other community member? I'm sorry, Marty.
I was going to say, and I really like that recommendation for this change. I think it makes it just much smoother.
Thank you, Member Taylor.
Thank you for the additional explanation. I was a little confused, and I think I might still be, but I'm getting there. So are we talking about, so I'm looking at the 5 stages, the diagram, and I'm a visual learner. I really appreciate the diagram. Are we talking about moving those 4 options that sit under the commission over to sit under the COA so that we make a more detailed recommendation to the commission? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, and thank you for the.
Oh, go ahead.
And thank you for the clarification. So the 4 actions that are there under the commission, that is their authority. They're the ones that are fully approving or acting on one of those 4 actions. So that authority lies with the commission. Essentially what we are recommending is that the COA recommends what that action might be. So the authority wouldn't shift this to the COA, but rather you would be providing additional guidance to the commission on what they should consider based on the fact that you have reviewed the provisional site visit team's report.
Got it.
I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for the clarification, Pranam. That's great. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, any member of the public wish to offer any comment?
Saying no comments, Bob.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Okay, well, again, this is an information item. No action is needed, but again, very useful information. Erin?
We actually had several things for the committee to consider and provide feedback on.
Oh, sure.
Because there were several, we were stopping sort of in between each one, and we'll make some notes. So I know that Poonam has some more items. I don't know if we want, though, this might be a good stopping point. Because I see our representative from Aspire is in the panelist. So we could stop here, move to item 14, and then come back to this item after if you'd like.
Okay, that could certainly work. Before we do that, we're nearing the end of the agenda. Are any committee members feeling a need to take a break, or can we just keep moving through and finish up because we're close to the end?
I recommend keep moving through.
Okay.
I'm okay with pushing through.
All right, unless there are any objections. Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, folks. Let's just keep going then. All righty. So of item 14, if we have all the parties available, if everybody is there, well, that's the report of actions taken by Aspire, Berkeley, Maynard to address the stipulations. And Consultant Miranda Gutierrez will introduce the item. She is joined by Institutional Representative Ruth Nagash, Director of New Teacher Development. And does anyone need to recuse himself? I see none. Ms. Gutierrez, will you please begin?
Sure. Good morning and thank you. This agenda item presents an update on the actions taken by Aspire Berkeley Maynard to address the remaining stipulation from its April 2020 accreditation site visit. Aspire hosted a revisit in April 2021, and it was found that all stipulations were addressed with the exception of one, which is about the retention of mentors for the teacher induction program. At the time of the revisit, all teachers at Aspire completed an annual professional learning plan with goals, but there wasn't evidence that the PLP included goals that were specific to an induction mentor's role. Since the revisit, Aspire has provided evidence about the process for the selection and retention of its mentors, and I will turn it over to Ruth, who can talk to you more about what that process looks like.
I can't see myself, and I'm not sure if you can. It says my video is on. Can you see me?
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Hear you.
That is very strange. I will move forward. It says my video is on, so I'm not sure what's going on over here, and I don't want to take up your time. So thank you, Miranda, for that introduction. I believe all of you were able to see the report. We were really grateful to get the feedback that we got last spring to make sure that we were only retaining our qualified mentors for this upcoming fall and for the falls to follow. And so what we were doing in the past was we were using a series of different criteria to make sure that our mentors were eligible to complete their role as an induction mentor. And so we do have a PLP process, our personalized learning plan for all of our employees on our site. And so what we're doing this year in fall and what we're launching for our mentors is a PLP guideline that really focuses on a mentor goal and making sure that we are continuously tracking that goal and making sure that our mentors are continuing to stay qualified and are continuing to grow as mentors, we're not just want to make sure that we're retaining them, but we also want to make sure that we are able to develop them in the process. And so what we have created, and what you probably have all seen, is a mentor PLP plan, which includes questions, and making sure that our PLP plan includes a goal around mentor and coaching. And so our supervisors will be able to track that throughout the year through an observation cycle. And there's a series of reflection questions and feedback that is given through that process, in making sure that our mentors are staying on track with their goals and also getting the development that they need along the way. We use our TLF rubric, transformational learning framework there. And so we're really hoping that we can utilize this rubric to make sure that we are giving feedback that is consistent with the goals and consistent with the rubrics that we're using throughout our school year. And so that is also linked there. Another thing that we did use last year and will continue to use is the end of the year and the middle of the year mentor feedback that we get. I'm happy to announce that 100% of our participating teachers agreed that they would want their mentors to return for the following year, which is great to hear. And you can see there that I've just kind of copied and pasted our end of the year survey that we had last year. And so we're hoping with all of these different data points that we can make sure that each year when we are making our mentor match, that we are only matching mentors who are qualified and remain to stay qualified as mentors at Aspire.
Great, thank you. This is an opportunity for any committee members if you wish to offer any comment or questions. And just as a reminder that this was one that came before us in May, and that we had just the one stipulation to review that we had just heard of how it's being addressed. So any questions you wish to ask? Or comments? Member Taylor.
Just a comment. I'd like to thank Miranda and the representative from Aspire Berkeley Maynard for the detailed attention to how the stipulations were addressed and remedied.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Member Taylor. Any other committee member wish to offer a comment or question? Okay, seeing none, any member of the public wish to offer comment on this item?
There are no comments up.
Thanks, Michelle. So this is an action item, and is there a motion by a committee member? Kevin, I'm not sure if that's a motion or if your hand was up from the comment. All right, Member Taylor.
I think it was left up by mistake, but I'll turn it into a motion. I would like to move that the Committee on Accreditation accept the report to approve the induction program for Aspire Berkeley Maynard.
All right, nice job on the twofer with the hand. Okay, so there is a motion on the table. Is there a second from a committee member? Second by Member Gracia. Any further discussion? All right, Ms. Bernardo, will you please call the roll?
Cynthia Almos. Aye. Kathy Gracia.
Aye.
Bob Fraley.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Lynn Larson.
Aye.
Marty Martinez.
Aye.
Jason Lee. Kevin Taylor.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Nagash.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We appreciate the fact that you take the stipulations seriously, you address them, you come back with specific items of how you're going to address it and what's being done. It's being supported by the staff and now getting the approval of the COA. So again, congratulations. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, you too. Okay, let's go back to item 15. We'll keep going on. So I guess Ms. Sullivan, Aaron, we'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. So just to make sure, it sounded like the committee was in general agreement, and again, we'll bring some things back for you, that in the future, following consideration of a provisional site visit report, you are in favor generally of approving or in whatever way you have the authority to modifying the accreditation decision of the team or the accreditation recommendation of the team and their stipulations, that you're also in favor then of making the or taking the action to recommend one of those 4 possible actions to the commission, which staff will then take forward at its presentation. So if we're clear on that, it seems like we are okay. We'll make notes. Okay, sorry.
No. I was just going to check to see if there are any other objections to what Aaron just stated. I think that was a good summary. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Aaron. Please continue.
Great. Then I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Poonam to proceed through some of the other questions that we have for you and feedback that we'd like to have from you on this stage of the IIA process. Poonam.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for clarifying the conclusion to the first part of the discussion. And as we move forward in discussing more refinements to this stage, of course, at any point, we definitely want committee members to continue asking clarifying questions. I mean, just in our own internal discussions and putting this item together, we recognize the complexities of everything that's being discussed. So we definitely welcome your questions because we want to be as clear as possible about what is being discussed. So, and moving on to the second area of discussion. So we wanted to talk about what to do with institutions that receive an accreditation recommendation of anything other than accreditation. So in other words, like does the COA think that if you had more time with an institution that, for example, had accreditation with stipulations before it went to the commission, would the COA again be of greater help to the commission in this process? So another way to kind of think about this is maybe to frame our thinking around the accreditation status levels. So if we think, for instance, if an institution had a recommended accreditation status of accreditation, full accreditation, no stipulations, it's pretty much agreed that in addition to the recommendation being accreditation, that the recommended action would be that the commission consider granting that institution full approval. So that's pretty much a slam dunk. But we want to kind of consider what should happen with institutions that receive accreditation stipulations. So if we think back to the 3 institutions that came before us this summer, the commission action or the recommended action was that second action on page 1 of the item. So basically, we're trying to get the COAs thinking of like, in what cases would that commission action be the recommended action, and would there be other cases or other moments where the COA might want to recommend a different action for an institution that receives accreditation with stipulations? So in other words, like, are there instances where the COA might want to hold on to the institution longer to be more helpful to the commission in helping that institution address stipulations? So that's the first part of our question, and I'm happy to restate that or try to clarify that.
Okay. So just to be clear, so if a train is leaving Philadelphia traveling at 73 miles an hour, I'm sorry.
Let me get my pencil and paper. I'll get back to you on that.
Right.
Yeah. It is very, it's difficult to explain. And I will say, I mean, the IIA team and Cheryl and I spent actually several hours sort of discussing this and trying to figure out how to present this to you without, and leaving it open-ended so that you could have a discussion about it and really think about what the process and what your involvement is in it without leading you to, any specific conclusions. So, and that's harder to do than one would think.
Oh, it's not easy to do at all, and I think you're doing an exceptional job. No, absolutely, no. And I think we all appreciate what the intent is and the clarity that you're trying. You are offering clarity, so we do appreciate that.
Yeah,
Cheryl.
it's very confusing. And I think the bottom line is this for me. The commission decides whether or not an institution gets to be a player in the business of offering credential programs. The Committee on Accreditation approves programs and does ongoing accreditation for institutions that have already been approved. And so the question is, when we have this provisional period of time and there are issues that have been identified, I mean, these are institutions that are new or just kind of working out the kinks. And so there might be issues that arise. Is it better to have those institutions sort of in the realm of working with the COA to work that out before they go to the commission? Or does the commission really have the authority to say, yep, nope, we need to know how they did this first couple of years? So we were going back and forth trying to figure out, okay, let's say you had an institution that has really serious issues in those first couple of years. Is it better to have that go to the commission and have the commission deny, or is it better, because where the line of seriousness is in the stipulations or issues, and that's where we were going back and forth trying to figure out how do we fix this last piece to make it really clear when an institution can kind of fix things with the COA versus having to go to the commission. So we don't know what the commission thinks on this yet. That's why this is at a brainstorming level at the moment.
No, that helps, and I think it's important. We appreciate. I guess I'll just speak for everybody that you have faith in us in looking at the stipulations and the program standards and being able to address that, make comments on that, being part of what the committee does on a daily basis, lack of meeting every day. But that's really what we do with this. So I think that's well stated. Let's hear what the committee members wish to say. I saw Member Martinez and Member Taylor. Would either of you like to make a comment?
Well, I think Cheryl, I think you helped me clarify. I guess my question was initially after I'm hearing the proposal or the brainstorming or whatever we want to call it, was that so for example, if this was approved by the commission and the COA, would we then keep I guess I'm trying to understand, we would just keep an institution in provisional status and until for example, they may clear up stipulations that we had recommended before we send it back to the commission for full approval?
You're muted, Cheryl. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, go ahead, Poonam, I'll let you answer that.
So that's essentially what we are trying to get clarified, if that makes sense, is that at what point should we consider an institution, that an institution should stay in that provisional status and stay with the COA and work on the stipulations, as opposed to moving them forward with that recommendation. So basically, at what point should we consider institutions for that third commission action versus the second? So that we are having the same question that you have, Chair Martinez, and that's pretty much the clarification that we are attempting to kind of work out here.
Oh, go ahead, Erin.
I just was going to add just a yes and. Part of staff's thinking was, if we have options for the commission to basically remand these institutions back to the COA to deal with stipulations, does it make sense to just keep it with the COA for a period of time until the stipulations are addressed before even taking, so then the institution isn't bouncing back and forth between the COA and the commission and staff's, introducing them to each body, several times. So we were just trying to think, is there a way for us to streamline this in a way that makes sense, given the various authority points of both the committee and the commission?
Yeah, thank you. I like the thinking here. I think it makes sense to stay with this body, if approved by the commission, just because, just for all the reasons you stated. To me, it makes sense, and it seems like a cleaner process and better for the institutions for the initial, seeking initial approval. Anyway, my 2 cents.
No, thank you both. And just to piggyback, and then we'll get to Member Taylor and Member Hillis. It also might have to do with what the commission's workload is too. So if this is something that can be better dealt with within the COA that has the expertise, and this is what their focus is, versus going to the commission. Not that the commission would not take it seriously at all, but if they have a number of other items that they are addressing, that also might be more beneficial to have it get to their plate at a time that is perhaps either more appropriate or more critical, so that their decision at that point can have like a final impact rather than steps. That might be something to consider. Member Taylor.
Thank you, and thanks for bringing this forward. In essence, what we're talking about, in my mind, to be sure I'm clear here, is the nuanced difference between 2 and 3, in that 2 would be a sort of a small violation, somewhat less consequential. An institution is really close to getting approval, so we would give them approval, but with this little stipulation that they need to address. And then 3 would be, well, there's multiple places where they haven't quite met the standard here, cleared the bar. So we're not going to approve this. We're going to hold them back and make them come back for a year. That could be sort of a fine line, and a place where people could interpret things differently. I was really confused at first, but now it seems really clear to me that if there's a stipulation, then we shouldn't give them, we shouldn't grant them approval. Because it's a stipulation and you have to meet all the stipulations, and that's a lot of work and it's really challenging, but this is a really heavy responsibility that we're granted to people, and so it should be a lot of work. It should be challenging, and we should hold people to high standards. It seems like it would streamline the process if we collapse 2 and 3 and withheld these submissions to the full CTC until such time as all stipulations have been met.
Thanks, Member Taylor. Anybody wish to comment on what Member Taylor just commented on? And then we'll get to Mr. Hillis. Okay, let's keep that thought in the Member Hillis, please.
Yeah, I'd actually just like to back up, I think, what Kevin was just saying. In some ways, the way that I'm understanding it, again, I think we're all trying to clarify for ourselves. I'm almost thinking about it more as a formative function versus a summative function within evaluation, and that the COA really performs more of a formative function, that we're actually helping institutions move to that place where we can then, with confidence, move something along to the commission for full approval. And from that vantage point, I think I'm definitely very supportive of that. And I do think it makes sense that when programs are first coming up, that it would make a lot of logic to say, unless it's a really, and this is where I think that line that Kevin, you pointed out is important, is, would we just simply say there can't be stipulations before we move it on this initial approval? I think I would lean that way, but I also understand that there could be some really minute things that may seem like now we're really getting petty in this as well. So those are just my thoughts.
All right, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Mike. Again, some good commentary. What does everybody else think? What are your thoughts? Member Taylor.
Thank you, Bob. I'm just wondering if staff could comment to the full ramifications of the action of collapsing these two. And if we said, look, we either approve or deny, and we can deny with stipulations. So we're collapsing this to three things. It's 1, 3, or sort of in the middle. You're not approved. There are stipulations. So we're sort of removing number 2. What's the full fallout of that? I mean, it sounds really good to me now because it sounds way more efficient. But are people going to get caught in the crossfire here? And what are the potential unintended consequences?
Right. So just to clarify, the COA would still not be in a position where they're approving or denying. Only the commission can do that. We're asking that the COA put itself in a position to make a recommendation of one of those things to the commission. So with that said, the important difference, I would say, the important distinction between options 2 and 3 is that full approval. Option 2 would allows the commission, and this is what they just did in August, they fully approve a program and then refer it back to the COA to address the stipulations. Full approval means that institution has basically now made it through successfully all 5 stages of the IIA. We are going to add them to a color cohort, like they're in the system. They're part of one of our 7-year accreditation institutions. Option 3 is to hold the institution in provisional approval still for another period of time. Typically what we went with at this August meeting was the period of time that the team decided the institution needed to address the stipulations in. So it's typically about a year. So the institution stays in provisional status until they address those stipulations. They come back before you in a year to address the stipulations, and then they go back to the commission again to get full approval. So those, if an institution was retained in provisional status, it's not fully approved, which means it cannot offer, it cannot submit new programs for approval. It is not yet assigned to a cohort or made part of the full accreditation process. It really does stay in provisional status until it can come back before the COA and then go back before the commission and for the commission to approve or deny. So that's kind of the nuance between those two.
And that's the nuance right now, right? So our thinking is that's a lot of bouncing back and forth. And so that's what we were trying to figure out, whether there's a way to keep it in sort of that provisional status period of time with the COA. And we would have to go to the commission for this change and say that if there's a stipulation or whatever we feel like is good policy or procedures, go back to the commission and say, would you be willing to allow the COA to work with these institutions, and not until they're completely ready do you actually see them? So we would have to ask for a change in process with them. And that's sort of what we're thinking.
And if I could just add to that, to piggyback back off of what Aaron and Cheryl were saying. So if the COA thinks that the second and third option should be collapsed, kind of going back to what Member Taylor was saying, or maybe even combine those two options, like Cheryl just mentioned, the commission would have to approve that change, and then that would require updates to the framework, to the handbook. And another kind of way to think of this as well is that if those options remain as they are, perhaps that just becomes an internal kind of discussion with the COA. At COA meetings, whenever you see these provisional site visit reports, as to what that clear line is between what would qualify as an institution that gets recommended with the second options versus the third option. So kind of going back to what Member Hillis was saying, if there's an institution that has very minute stipulations, and that might be just very clear in the minds of COA members that no, this is going to be an option 2, because it's very minor details and it's fine with them being full approved, and they'll just work out the little kinks here and there. As opposed to maybe an institution that has major stipulations or comes forward with probationary stipulations, that automatically goes to option 3 or option 4, depending on what the severity is. So I just wanted to make sure that that was kind of clear, like that would be the process by which to change.
And
So
I just
then
want to
we come-
reiterate that we don't need any decisions today. We just really wanted to think it through with you all so that we can kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of think about what makes sense and what you feel
Well, and
is,
that-
makes sense.
That's good instruction there too. So it seems that what we're hearing is that it boils down to whether or not there's a significant difference between 2 and 3 that would warrant having it as broken apart, that would add greater guidance for the institution as well as for the COA, or whether or not collapsing the 2 and somehow doing so would streamline the process without sacrificing the integrity of the process. Okay. I would like to propose that we just consider, give more food for thought and get more input from other committee members who are not present.
Okay.
So we have everybody's input. I think we're at what, 2/3 for where we are right now. We have 3/4, I guess, what we have right now, right? Something like that. So it would be useful if we have everybody's input. I don't know, what do everybody else think? I guess what I would propose is that we consider this, we've heard the different thoughts, and we can also add some more thoughts to the discussion, but rather than trying to make a decision now, mull it over, revisit it in a couple months when we come back in October. We'll have more time to think it through and give more thought to that. Remember, Taylor, do you have another comment to make?
Yeah, I was just going to say maybe there's a middle ground in that if it were, we could sort of take 2, and if there were a minor stipulation, allow that to be addressed in a shorter period of time so that they don't have to wait an entire year to come back. But if it's something that could be addressed quickly, since we're moving towards sort of improving efficiency here, why make them wait an entire year? If it could be addressed between now and October, we could just hear it at the next meeting and, oh, they're done. Move them on to the commission.
And just to point out, institutions can do that now. It's typical for a team to say, the phrasing is within 1 year, the institution address all of these things. Or maybe it's 1 or 2 things. If an institution gets them addressed and gets that evidence back to their site visit consultant sooner, we can bring them back before you sooner and get those stipulations lifted sooner. They don't have to wait a year. So that would be sort of in keeping with this same process as well.
Historically, what has been the general turnaround for something like that when they have up to the year? Do most institutions take the year? Are they eager to get it done right away, or is it somewhere in between?
I think it's somewhere in between. I think that's a great question. They're definitely eager to get it done, but we want to make sure that the evidence and things that we get from them is sufficient before we bring it to you. So we don't encourage them to hurry, but these are fully approved institutions, so they're still operational, as opposed to, I think, maybe the anxious, I don't want to say anxiety, that sounds negative, but the sense that a provisional institution might have to want to get that full approval. They might, want to move forward a little bit more quickly.
Sure, they don't want that stigma of being non-provisional, or being provisional. Sure, okay, that helps. Thank you. Okay, so I know we don't need to have an emotion or anything, but I'm just going to make a friendly suggestion, perhaps, proposal that maybe we go ahead and we revisit this in October. I think the information you brought has been exceptional. This has been really good information, and the discussion we've had has been good. And that we all kind of mull it over, come back in October. So I just got kind of general sense. Does it all sound good to everybody?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll do that. And again, thanks Cheryl, thanks Aaron, thanks Poonam, for your work on this. A lot of detail. And again, this really helps us. Thank you. And it helps the whole process, everybody involved. Thank you. We have one more item to do, item 5. Cheryl, what do you think? Is there a significant time for 5? Do you want to take a stretch break, or it's really up to you as far as how much time will be involved?
Do it fairly quickly, but 10, 15 minutes at the most.
Okay. So unless, let's go. Keep going. Thanks.
Yeah, it sounds like we'll try to. We know you all have you're getting ready for the first day of school and that kind of thing. So we will.
Sure, but don't feel rushed. We don't want you to feel, under the gun. So whatever you need.
Okay. Well, so we have a couple of things to report today, and I just wanted to make sure that we circled back with all of you on the staff. And thanks for putting this last. We wanted to, get all those action items done, right away and quickly, since we're not in person. But so one of the things I wanted to mention is that this emergency order that we have been meeting under, the suspension of the Berkeley Act, really officially expires September 30th. We don't know what that means for our October meeting yet. And as soon as we do know, we will let you know. We know that this executive order allowed us to all meet at our our individual homes, localities, without having to do the kinds of things that Berkeley requires us to do, which is to post into our location and to allow the members of the public to actually join at our homes or whatever. And what we think it may mean in the future is not necessarily that you have to come in person, but that one, we need to keep the line of authority or ability for access for the public. So we need to continue our 1-800 number. We need to allow people to come in through Zoom, as well as the 1-800 free phone lines. But also, if you are going to be attending at your schools or districts or the local library, that we may have to go back to the posting of that and allowing members of the public to join. So as soon as we find out what the fate is of this executive order that allows us due to COVID, if it's going to be extended, if it's going to be modified, we will make sure to let you all know. But just wanted you to know, we don't know what the situation is with the October meeting. Thankfully, our October meeting is late this year, so it gives us some time. The commission actually meets before that, so we'll know more for the commission meeting first. The other thing I wanted to do is, because you had so many IPR and IIA items on, I want to really recognize our staff that works on that. Poonam, Hart, Miranda, Michelle Williams, George, all of them have been really working hard to make sure that the new institutions get up and running and are given the technical assistance they need, as well as the new programs. So it's sort of a kind of a thankless job, and I just wanted to make sure to acknowledge them. They've been doing a really, really nice job. So thank you to all of them. We're really thrilled that there's more bilingual authorizations being offered finally again, which is wonderful. So we're seeing a real expansion of that area. We do have the bilingual authorization standards that are being updated now. Miranda and Ayore are working on that with the panel. We're close on that, not quite there yet. There's still some discussions about what kind of field experience is required for that authorization, the added authorization. If you are interested, we have a survey out right now, and we're encouraging everybody to please to do that survey so that we can bring back an action item to the commission and kind of settle those last remaining issues related to the bilingual authorization. I wanted to mention that this fall marks some really important time for special ed. We have these plans for implementations. We adopted special ed standards quite a while ago, but because of COVID, because of the complexity, it's been a while coming to fruition. So we are working with the field to get the implementation plans going and to review those. We're working on the regulations, all of that. So, and then lastly, I wanted to mention what was in the budget and everything in the budget trailer bill, because there's a lot of money for teacher recruitment, teacher efforts. And so if I just can walk through some of that, one of the first things that was in the, hold on one second, I need to get it in front of me. One of the first things we mentioned was that the COVID flexibilities related to testing for candidates was extended. So for teaching performance assessment and for APA, administrative performance assessment, those flexibilities that were given last year were extended through the 21-22 school year. so that candidates, if they need to, if they have school closures, if they have other things that prevent them from having to be able to complete that requirement, they can move that to the clear credential. That expires at the end of this academic year, next academic year. So really important that as we see how schools open and where the hotspots may be and what interruptions there may be to people's clinical practice experiences and placements and things like that, we have that option available to candidates. We also, the governor also suspended the requirement to complete Rica. Now, both Rica and the CBEST, what they did was they did not extend it all the way through the end of the year, but they extended it through December 31st. And they gave the commission the option, if the situation is such that we need to extend that further, the commission would be able to take action in sometime late fall to extend that through the end of the academic year, through June 30th, I believe. So there was that issue. Then there were a whole bunch of other things happening. Oh, and the same with the CSAT examination. There was a whole bunch of other things that happened. The credential fees are suspended for initial credentials for candidates. They wanted to make it so that that was not a burden on candidates. So we are working on the programming for that so that candidates, when they are recommended, that they do not have to pay if it's their first credential in that area. And then there was a whole bunch of grants related to teacher credentialing. So there is a grant for dyslexia for programs. That's a $2 million grant where we're asking programs to look at their programs for literacy and reading, and to make sure that they use the best research related to dyslexia. And so we'll be working on that. That money's not available yet, but we will be coming up with that RFP for institutions. There's a $15 million computer science grant. And again, we're working on that. That's a supplementary authorization. And then, of course, there was a recommitment to teacher residencies. So the money there is pretty substantial. It's $350 million. And that was increased from the $250 million. So you'll be seeing that. It also includes some capacity grants, so people being able to plan for new residencies. So there's a lot of information there. Kara Mendoza is the person, if you have questions about that. Kara is our grants person who is not able to be here at the moment. She was on earlier. There is more money for the classified grants, trying to get classified folks there. The $125 million for that. So that's excellent news. That has been a highly successful grant program so far, and we're happy to have that. There's money for national board certification. That's not run through the commission, but that is available as well. They've given money to the Center on Teaching Careers, $1.7 million. There's new money, lots of new money to the Golden State Teacher Grant Program. So we're asking institutions to please get that word out for candidates so that they know. And then we have the issues of not the COVID flexibilities, but the new language related to options related to CBEST or basic skills and options related to subject matter. We have put out a webinar and some information on the basic skills options, which allows a candidate to use pretty much as long as they get a B or better from a regionally accredited institution of higher education, and it's in coursework that is acceptable according to the law for each reading, writing, and mathematics, that those candidates can use their coursework rather than having to take the CBEST exam. So we've put out some information on that. That is pretty much fully operating. There's still some questions about, there's still some questions out there that we're trying to answer. The sort of the mirror to that is the subject matter, and subject matter is much, much more complex. And we are currently working on that. We're working on emergency regulations. We're working on trying to answer institutions questions. However, there are pieces of it that we still need to clarify and get certain on before we can give good guidance to the field. And so at this moment in time, my understanding on subject matter is that where there is exact matches with majors, so a candidate has an exact major match, so a mathematics credential candidate who has a major in mathematics or has a bachelor's degree in mathematics, that will be acceptable. Where there's a lot of gray area is all those other areas that might have mathematics or a broad sense of mathematics, and whether those would be applicable. At this point in time, we are not recommending that people implement that part of it because we have a lot of work to do on clarifying where that happens. It's very complicated with the subject matter domains in the subject matter requirements, and having to make sure that the coursework that is taken by each candidate is within the domains that is required of that subject area. So there's work that we still need to do. We know people really want answers today. We don't have all the answers yet. We're hoping to have them very, very soon. So I just wanted to say that, but this is a really big sea change in both basic skills and subject matter. So have a little patience with us. We're almost there, but we still need to work on a few things in order for us to be able to do this. Fortunately, we have a little breathing room right now. So candidates are very anxious, but we have, through these flexibilities so far, we have a little time. Candidates should be able to get into programs, and they should be able to move forward. We've already taken the flexibility that they don't have to have subject matter in order to do their placement or student teaching. So just give us a little bit more time and we should have some good answers for everybody. And I know that probably Erin has some other things to add about where we are with some things, but I'm happy to answer questions about any of the things that were in the budget.
Yeah, I have a real quick question. So I know that we can use the direct, the exact language for the degrees. Mm-hmm. So, but how do we, when we're doing the online recommendations, because I know for the basic skills, we have that form that they gave us, BSR 41 or whatever it is, but there isn't anything or wasn't a notation for what we needed to attach, because we already attached the undergraduate transcripts, but do we need to attach something else? A letter that says they've met the content subject matter via their degree, or what do they want us to do in order to, also, which dropdown do we pick? Do we pick that it was by a subject matter in a program that was not at the recommending IHE, or do we use the normal exam and then put in a letter saying, sorry.
Those are all good questions that I don't have answers for you today. So those are certification questions. We, like I said, we're working on a very large FAQ on this that will have all of that information on there. But if you have one right now, I would email credentials@ctc.ca.gov. So if you have an exact match, you have a math major getting a math credential, then email credentials@ctc.ca.gov, because they can deal with which drop down do I use and that kind of thing, what documentation.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And then Member Hillis.
Yeah, sure. I'm just curious, in terms of the residency grants, do you have a date on when those potentially are going to be made available in terms of the RFP?
I don't have a date. I know that they're working on the RFP right now. So that's considered one of the highest priorities, because there's a lot here. We had to go, okay, which ones are there, most demand for? So I know that Kara's working on the RFP for that soon. So I can have her email you. I'm happy to do that to let you know when they're going to be available. Or if she has a ballpark. She might not have an exact date, but she could kind of tell you if it's, February or if it's, September, which I think it's closer to the fall than anything else.
Any other comments or questions? Cheryl, that's great info. Did you have anything else? I don't want to cut you off. I just had a couple comments.
No, I'm good. I think I wanted to make sure Erin has a chance to talk about accreditation.
Sure. No problem. And I know I did some updating in June as well. But I'm sorry, Committee Member Fairley, did you have? I think I got
No,
you.
nothing. I can wait till you're finished here. No worries.
Oh, okay, okay. I think I mentioned this a little bit in June because, you know, it's as my predecessor used to describe accreditation, it's a hamster wheel, right? And you all are on it as well, so you know. We're looking out 2-3 years while we're in the current year. But you know, we'll be starting site visits for the Violet cohort in October, in addition to having 4 more provisional site visits, and they will all be in the fall. So you will be seeing potentially 1 provisional or maybe 2 provisional site visit reports at your October meeting. And then the others fall after your October meeting, so they'll come next spring. But we're getting site visits are getting going starting in October. We've got them through early December. And then there's a little bit of a break, December, January, and site visits start up again at the end of January. So again, that's the Violet cohort. We have 1 CAPE institution in the fall and 2 AQUIP institutions next spring. So a lot of new stuff going on in this next accreditation year. So that's very exciting. Our typical number, I think there's 34, 36 site visits, including those provisional site visits that'll occur in the 21-22 year. In addition to proceeding with those site visits, it is year 5 for institutions in the Indigo cohort. So that means about, I think, 34 institutions will be submitting program review in October. The program review submissions are due October 15th. I believe we'll have about 135 programs to be reviewed this next year. And of course, that includes programs that are submitting to the new ed specialist standards. And Cheryl mentioned those plans for implementation. So plans for implementation are due from all SPED programs by October 30th. But for institutions in the Indigo cohort, since they will have to have their new special ed programs aligned to the new standards by next fall, so by the time they have their site visits in fall of 2022, we're asking those institutions to submit program review to the new standards. So we have some special program review dates set up that are just going to be for SPED programs, because we know we're going to need to do some special calibration with our program reviewers around the new standards. And then, of course, we have to get all those plans for implementation reviewed. So, you know, as we're taking the opportunity to call out staff, I want to thank, of course, Sarah and William, who have been walking these SPED programs through implementation of these new standards for many years now. And they will be doing some training and calibration for program reviewers and new SPED reviewers in the fall. And that's important too, because any new programs that want to submit IPR, and they want to submit a new SPED program, we at the moment would need for them to submit to the new standards, because it wouldn't make any sense to have an institution submit to the old standards and then have to switch over to the new standards next fall. But we don't yet have reviewers who are calibrated to review to those new standards. So all of that's going to get rolling this fall. We're going to keep that moving forward. And I think, oh, and then last but certainly not least, after a lot of conversation at the administrators in PSD, Cheryl and myself, as well as obviously guidance from David and from our other 2 administrators, we made the decision last week to call all of the site visits for the 21-22 year virtual. We had already called fall visits. And with all of the uncertainty right now that's been going on, and the fact that spring site visit institutions, I think Cheryl and I could have held off for another couple of months, but the institutions are anxious to know what they're planning for in the spring. So we went ahead and made the decision last week that all of the spring visits this year will also be virtual. So site visits are 100% virtual for the 21-22 year for all the Violet cohort as of right now.
I just want to add, so we were trying to pull in Christina, who does the grants, but apparently she's not being able to be pulled in as a panelist for some reason. So what Christina's telling me is that capacity grant RFP will be out sometime next month and a half. And then expansion grants by the end of the fall. This is all residency, and then regular residency early 2022, it sounds like. So that's what it looks like apparently. And I'm sure you can email Kara or Christina, and they can give you some more information on that. And Christina's typing because she has something to add here.
Erin, are you able to move her over?
She said
I'm
that's right.
trying. I don't know why
Yeah.
that's
It's not letting me.
Yeah, I don't know.
interesting.
Tech issues today. Sorry about
I
that.
wonder, does she need to accept on her end when we?
Don't know, but she said it's right.
No.
Okay, well, that's all right. So I'm sure we will put more information out as soon as we have a better sense of everything. And thank you, everybody, for your patience around, especially around the subject matter information. It's a very complex piece of legislation.
No, thank you. Anything else that you wish to add on that?
I can't think of anything. No, I think
Okay,
we're
well,
good.
that was extremely detailed. And before we do the public comment, I just want to thank always the staff for the incredible amount of work. I mean, we see this every time, and those who have done more and more work with them just recognize it. So definitely applause. And as Cheryl had acknowledged, not just the ones that we always see present here, but there's so many of the people who do the work. So thank you so much, and those who do the team leads and the site visits, and those everybody contributes for the good of the cause. And thank you so much. It is interesting, and I do applaud the decision to do it virtual for this coming year rather than waiting and see, because institutions need to know what's going on, and I imagine that takes a little bit of burden off of them, not so much burden of the work, but burden of wondering what's going to go on.
Right.
And unfortunately, you've had this year to do that, which, from what we've seen come before us, have just been phenomenal reports, just the way it's been done. I mean, I better than I think anybody could have expected. And I think the response from the institution has just been phenomenal, and so grateful for the support that the staff and the team gives them. So bravo on that. I'm glad to see us moving forward. Colleagues, we had a very brief but a lot of information, good information today at the meeting. It's exciting. The bilingual authorizations are exciting. The ed specialist coming down the line, that's great. We saw the first one in theater, which is exciting. The CSET, the CBEST, all the TPA, now starting year 4, I think it is, we're doing. All this is exciting information that's going on, and I know with all the stresses of the new academic year and maybe some excitement of coming back and maybe some uncertainty, I thank you all for your attention and your devotion to what we do here as a team. So thank everybody for being involved with this very much.
Yes, thank you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So let's move on just quickly to item 16. It's public comment. Any member of the public have anything you wish to say? If you do, please remember to use the raise hand icon. If you're joining via the toll-free number, press *9 on your phone to inform the meeting moderator that you'd like to speak, and then the moderator will inform you it's your turn to speak.
There are no public comments.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. And before we leave, congratulations to Poonam. Is the date coming? Because you have the shower, so can you announce it? If you want to keep it private, we totally understand. We'll just say congratulations. And we'll leave it at that, so that's exciting. Anything else for the good of the cause, folks?
I'd like to just say thanks to Bob for carrying the meeting and being not co-chair today, just being chair all day. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. My pleasure, Marty. Looking forward to having you help us next time. Oh, do we know in October, is it 2 days or for sure? Or is it going to be 1 day or wait?
I don't know at the moment. It's probably a 1-day meeting.
Okay. If we presume it'll be the 28th rather than 29th.
If that's
It's
a
probably
Thursday.
safe to presume.
Typically, yes.
Yeah, that way it leaves the 29th if we need it. Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, so thank you all for everything. And again, if there's no other business, I adjourn the August 2020 meeting of the Committee on Accreditation, and the next meeting of the committee will be October 28th, 29th, 2021. Thanks again. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Get
everybody.
better,
Good luck
Lynn.
to you, Lynn.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see you.
Best wishes, Lynn.
Good luck at the new start of your years.
Thanks,
Yes.
everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, my pleasure, Marty, and hope to get back online soon. All right, thanks for hanging out in the truck over there.